What happens when someone you trust tells you a lie? You get pissed, right? Well, what happens if someone tells you a lie that expands through almost 7 years? You'd be more than just pissed, right?
I'm robbing you. This is a robbery. Stick 'em up. Reach for the sky.
What if someone you follow for that amount of time actually didn't deliver the product they promised? They didn't work on it as they promised multiple times, they didn't stick to the schedule, and they didn't bother to make any major improvements. What if this product never came out? You'd be more than irritated at that point. Well, what if I told you the supplier managed to pump out a gelatinous cube of rust shit and disguised it as a game that should have taken 7 years to make, but instead, he did it in 1? You'd call me a fool. Well, do I have news for you? Forgot to open up my script. Over about a year to 2 years ago, I made a video detailing the Pompeii tragedy of the anime community known as Yandere Simulator. This was my first video to ever make it past 1 million views. This was a video I made out of passion and was fairly interested in talking about the issues surrounding Yandere Simulator and its creator. A phrase that's been thrown around the internet like a monkey throwing around its own feces is separate art from the artist, or in this case, the game from its developer. But it's very, very difficult to do that when talking about a tragedy such as Yandere Simulator without bringing up the developer Alex Mahan.
I, Ebba X, humbly submit a toast to Nicholas Alexander for successfully managing to pirate Warcraft 3 so that he may play Defense of the Ancients. Congratulations, Nick. Enjoy your Dota.
Alex Mahan? I don't know how to pronounce it. I just pronounce it Mahan. The Cum Chalice consumer was in tandem, linked with his game and all of its issues. But why was that, you may ask yourself? Well, because he was at the helm of the game. Essentially a one-man band, but for this game. And was at the helm of a lot of its core problems. Problems that I've covered in my previous videos. And problems that he himself has caused. These problems we'll get into very shortly, don't worry about that. But essentially it boils down to his spaghetti of a code and his stubbornness. Back when I first made my video about Yandere Simulator, I managed to talk about some of the problems pertaining to the game and the developer. But like the game and a Tartara lizard, it's always evolving. I want to break this video off into 2 separate parts. One detailing his blog, himself, and the progress of the game, and another actually criticizing the game from a few months ago to now. I want to break this video up into 2 parts because I think it's important for me to actually take a look at the game and play it myself instead of just criticizing it for it being a piece of shit. I'm going to go over all of the things that pertains to the game in the second part. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about my own video and my own progress on YouTube. You can skip this part if you want and immediately go to the first part, but this is just going to be me talking about specific things that have happened on YouTube to me ever since that video. The first video I ever made on Yandev and his game was a passion project rather than a video I made to go with this trend. At the time, I didn't even know he was a trend. I literally just uploaded the video on there, and a month later it got 1 million views. I have no idea how YouTube's viewing system works. Don't ask me. And I guess I hit the algorithm right, because at the time, barely anyone was talking about this, so I guess I kind of struck the algorithm at the right time. But that video blew up, I gained countless support from fans, made friends, and met some amazing content creators I personally watched. 2 of which I've actually spoken to personally for a time, FPS Diesel, and Kappa Kaiju. Back then, I knew next to nothing about making a video. I knew next to nothing about recording a video, next to nothing about video editing, next to nothing about writing a script. And now here I am a year later with an 11-page script in fucking... I forgot what the font was that I used. Was it Helvetica? What the fuck kind of font did I use? 11 pages written in Courier New size 11 font. That is tiny letters. And now that I've put it into a different font, it's 37 pages. So I guess you could say I kind of evolved from making a script. Back then I knew next to nothing about making videos, and I was glad that that video blew up. I was also glad that a bunch of creators I personally watched and followed started talking about the subject extensively. Some even mentioned me and my video, and for that, I'm forever grateful. But yeah, that's it for this part. If you like the video, please leave a like and, comment, subscribe, and do all that shit. I don't usually say this stuff in the beginning of the video because I kind of want to leave it to the end, but I just, wanted to put that in because I probably will forget. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for your support, and let's get on with the first part. Let's rewind the clock to the last time I talked about anything Yandere Simulator related on this channel. The last video I uploaded of his was way back in September 11th, 2020. Almost a year! Well, by the time of this recording anyways. Back then, I was talking about a game called Love Letter that unfortunately was cancelled by the creator due to numerous factors in his life. Alex being one of them. At this time, the game looked leagues better than Yandere Simulator, and everyone knew that. Especially Alex, who was talking to the creator of Love Letter and made some empty threats that unfortunately scared him into canceling the game. This was the last time I heard anything about Yandere Simulator and did any sort of heavy research, so by this time my palate was cleansed. Fast forward to October of 2020. This was the month he would publicly acknowledge that people using misleading information to smear his game's image. He would acknowledge and state that his game and the assets are not store-bought from the Unity Asset Store, when in fact, they were. People managed to find the exact same assets that he used in the game in said stores. The character models, the environment, and even tiny things like papers, books, and such. It was clear that most of these were stolen. Now obviously he stated that these are going to be placeholder items, but here's the thing. They've been placeholders for 7 years. And it was also clear from a Q&A he did that essentially cemented that the models were in fact stolen, and he knew about those store-bought models and their existence. He also wanted to hire a professional team to work alongside him, but we all know that Yandere dev doesn't like to work nice with others. Fast forward to October 15th, one day before my birthday, he would elaborate further on his game and the updates, but unfortunately a lot of the screenshots he had for these aren't loading due to the site he was using transferring the images is down. Like, I tried looking up the images and the screenshots he was talking about. Unfortunately, the site was down. Good going, Alex. So I have no idea if what he was saying was right, but I'm too lazy and I'm too much of a lazy fuck to fuck around and find out. But this was, well, not the start of a pattern, but this is where a pattern starts to form that most of you knew about and from the beginning. His bug fixes are starting to get longer and longer during his updates. Each update brings more bugs and more bug fixes, essentially being a one step forward, two steps back situation. And you'll start to see that it gets worse and worse till it suddenly just stops. Bug fixes are no strangers to the average consumer of the games or even the developer. We all know that a lot of games have bug fixes and they have to fix certain bugs. We all know this. But for something like Yandere Simulator, it's very concerning since his game's coding is riddled with nothing but inconsistencies up the wazoo. A day later, October 16th, my birthday by the way, he added even more bug fixes to accompany the ones that I just showed. So this was getting to be quite the problem. October 17th, another pile of bug fixes gets added to it. These were small bugs, but small bugs can soon become big bugs later down the road and halt your development and make it a living nightmare for anyone, including yourself, to figure out how to fix. October 31st, he adds even more bug fixes to this month. In total, he added 105 bug fixes to October alone. I sat down and I counted everything that had bug fixes in the fucking sentence. For context, Cyberpunk 2077, a game infamously known for being riddled with bugs, glitches, crashes, and the works, for its first month of release had a total of 97 bugs. Alex Mahan, the one-man glitch army, managed to create more bug fixes than a game being made by a team of people. I don't know if I should congratulate him, if I should be fucking awed or afraid. One man cannot hold such power. I went and counted every single one of those bug fixes, so you better fucking
comment and subscribe. I fucking swear to God if you don't, I'll fucking hunt you down.
November 2020. With October done and dusted, Alex released Osana into the world because being pressured with people calling out his bullshit, he squirted out Osana like a squid in danger shooting out its ink. But this wasn't the end of the bug fixes. Oh no, it just keeps going, believe me. I noticed something very peculiar about this month. Usually he would list out the bug fixes in a tall order list. But this month he seemed to have skipped it altogether and vaguely talked about feedback he received now that Osana was in the game. It's very concerning when a developer isn't this transparent. Considering it's Alex Mahan, he's like a lot transparent with a lot of his bug fixes, but for this month in particular, I didn't actually see a whole lot of bug fixes, which is weird. December 2020. This month held no content whatsoever aside from the Amai challenge. This introduced a critical flaw and a huge bug that was completely unintentional, according to Alex, the cum chugger himself. I bet you he just forgot and didn't want to admit it. I bet you. Fast forward to January of 2021, a new year, but the same game. This time punishing you for figuring out a different way to beat the game. I can't believe this is a developer. Imagine being so good at the game and getting punished for it. Oh my god. Imagine playing Devil May Cry 5 and instead of the game rewarding you for beating it in a stylish and unique way, it punishes you because you didn't shoot the guy instead. That's what Alex did with this game at this point. Instead of giving the players a choice and an opportunity to explore different ways to beat his game, he made it impossible now to finish the game without killing or murder. This is also a lie, but he forgot to mention it. Remember this for later. People who are doing a pacifist run of Yandere Simulator can no longer do that. He essentially ripped the player of choices. Oh yeah, he also talked about his 12-year anniversary with streaming, so let's take a look back at the memorable streaming moments with Alex Mahan, shall we?
Do me a favor, Scouty Spot. Do me a favor, alright? Do me a favor. I need you to help me with something. Do me one favor, would you? Okay. I need you to find a cactus, alright? Then I need you to stick that cactus up your ass and vigorously, violently shove it in and out of your ass.
Oh, wow. Interesting. I see. 12 years. We're celebrating that, huh? God, I hate my life. He also apparently admitted that before he became a full-time developer, he streamed every day for 12 hours. Definitely nothing wrong with that. This is one of those guys you publicly have to say, just go touch grass, and he gets angry. This is definitely one of those guys. He was also going a lot deeper with the smear campaigns people were putting up against him, directly talking about the drama that people made up regarding his game, despite being truth and screenshots compiling. He also said that the threats he made of him ending his own life to the developer of Love Letter was fake, when in reality it was 100% true. His January 28th post was just filled with fictitious and malicious intended lies that he created to brainwash his audience even more. Fast forward to February of 2021, on February 5th, 2021, he made a blog about his Patreon transparency report, a yearly report where he would explain and show how much he made off his Patreon. One specific line stood out to me though, and it was this one. Several years ago, I decided that no matter how much money I make through Patreon, my personal monthly salary would be capped at 3.5k. And any money that passes 3.5k would be stored, which piqued my interest. So I did some research on his Patreon to see if this was true. So I used June 2015 as a set point. His transparency report suggested that he made almost $5,000, and extract that to his capped salary of 3.5k, and he's left with 1.4k. Now, a lot of this that I just explained was wrong, or is wrong actually. Based off of this graph that I went off from Graphtreon.com on June 29th, 2015, Alex was supposed to make 3.8k in that month. So where did the 4.9k come from, huh, Alex? It's confusing, I know, but the numbers don't add up, Alex. See, if you take your 33.5% chance and add it to my 99.5% chance, you get dunked on with Saturday night. I don't remember how the meme goes. I fucking love that meme. Maybe I might have made some mistake there, but all the other months that he stated were also off by a few hundreds of thousands. He also pays volunteers like shit. I should mention that. He also doesn't mention how long these volunteers have been working for him either. Which is odd because he did that for the other one back in June of 2015, or well, 2015 as a whole. Also, something that I noticed is that his volunteers became less and less throughout the years. In 2015, it was only one asking for 3.5k. Technically, Alex was supposed to pay him 10.5k, but he was stingy and made a deal with him. In 2016, it was 7 volunteers asking for a total of 17.5k. Completely reasonable. I mean, 7 volunteers, more than enough money for them. 2017, only 3 were asking for a total of 1.8k. 2018 was a bit better. 7 volunteers asking for a total of 3.5k. A huge downfall from the 17.5k I just talked about later in 2016, but hey man, beggars can't be choosers when it comes to Alex Cumchugger Mahan. In 2019, though, he became a bit more stingy and paid only 4 of the 7 volunteers 1.8k in total. The reason why he did that is because apparently he decided that the other 3 volunteers were not worth his time. He also chalked the reason that he couldn't pay his volunteers well enough was because of his declining Patreon, and because of people with devilishly handsome faces making videos on the poor bastard, for essentially lying to his audience for years and exposing him. February 27th, 2020 is the date he added Osana and released the demo. I mean, Osana was buggy as fuck, but gotta give him credit, he did release a duct-tape together demo with her in it. It only took him 7 years to implement one rival into the game. Wow. He also added a way to make the corpse disposal process less tedious and more fun to the player, which is a lie. Which once again shows that how terrible he is in making a game by stripping away the ways players can finish the game by themselves. This was also the start of the next rival, Raibaru. Well, not really next rival, but like a companion to Osana. I'm just gonna call her rival because I mean, I don't give a fuck. Which is, her name is literally English for rival. Just, how 300 IQ big brain of him. But for Raibaru, he was going to make her a bit more less unfair. So instead of going up and stabbing the rivals because he doesn't want you to have fun, he started implementing certain conditions that needed to be met before killing a rival. Which is an okay fix, but still steals away from the open world aspect that he stated long ago. Speaking of bugs, great segue I know, did you know that there was a bug that would cause the game to open to the smallest possible resolution? The more you know. March 2021 was filled with bug fixes a la galore. This was the month that Alex wanted to get his shit together and wanted to make extra sure that the latest build of the game is as bug-free as possible. Well, that was a fucking lie, because immediately underneath it was a myriad of bug fixes that he stated. Oh, what's that? That's not all, because 12 days later, he added even more bug fixes! More than the first one! And like the great Billy Mays once said, but wait, there's more! March 31st, 2021 was the 7-year anniversary for Yandere Simulator. This was a glorious moment for Alex because he wrote a post longer than 2 Bibles stitched together. This was a feels-good post where he would talk about various aspects throughout his 7-year journey with the development of Yandere Simulator and the development of his YouTube channel and his career. But much like his head, his ego was so huge that he made a few mistakes that I wanted to point out. Like Icarus, he flew too close to the sun by saying that the main reason why Yandere Simulator took 7 years to complete, and this is not a joke, was because Yandere Simulator was going to be a big game. That's a complete lie as well. Most indie games don't take 7 years to complete. That's because most indie games are small, short, and simple. And Yandere Simulator is the opposite of those things. This was a direct quote from the Cum Chalice Chugger himself. And I like to say that he's dead wrong about this. The reason is because not all indie games are small. An example of this is Boot Hill Bounties, a tried and true RPG akin to something like Final Fantasy III or 6 if you're in Japan, and Earthbound, but instead set in the Wild West, where you can play up to 4-player or co-op. By the way, I should mention this game is out for the Switch, and Yandere Simulator can barely run on PC. Jesus fucking Christ. This game, Boot Hill Bounties, was created by one guy. It was created by one dude named David Welch, and takes 27.5 hours to beat. Oh, but Noble, it's a pixel game. Those are easy to make. Okay, then another example. Bright Memory. This game looks fucking cool. Bright Memory is a 3D indie game. Remember this because it's gonna blow your fucking goddamn mind. Created by one person. It was created by a Chinese developer by the name of Zheng Shangcheng, and was a game he made in his spare time. This game was in development since 2017 and had a gameplay demo released on July of 2021. This game was made by one person and didn't take 7 years to develop. It looks like a AAA game like Battlefield or Titanfall, but it's actually an indie game made by one person. So, tell me, audience, would you rather play a game that's been in development since 2013 and looks like that? Or would you rather play a game that's been in development since 2017 and looks like that? I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I'm actually gonna roll one of my favorite clips of the trailer for Bright Memory because holy fuck is it cool. Holy fuck, this video is fucking long already, but let's fast forward and go straight into September. Give myself more work, fuck it, why not? Let's go straight into September, because this was the month where Alex was getting down and dirty with his computer and casually just finished the game. Yeah, you heard me right. He just casually dropped an update saying he finished all 10 rivals. Which is insane to me, because this was the same man who couldn't finish a single rival for 7 years, and then all of a sudden, fucking in the span of a year, just finished all 10 rivals and just fucking flopped his small Vienna sausage looking dick on the fucking table. For this part of the video, I want to wait until the actual release of the game comes out to see if this is true. This will be in part 2, so look forward to that, or you can just skip ahead, but please don't. I actually need you to watch the whole video. Thank you very much. But with my history with Alex and his controversies, it's strange to me that he managed to finish all 10 rivals in the span of a year. Obviously, This is a lie. He probably copy-pasted all the rivals. But this would cause another problem to persist. The game won't be a game then. If you can figure out how to kill one rival easily, then all the others will be easy as well if they are copy-paste of each other. The game will be a glorified sandbox where you kill all 10 rivals with one method. I was surprised and shocked like most of you, but then I learned that this wasn't the full game. Long story short, this isn't the main game. He's making a separate mode with all the 10 rivals in them, as a sort of proof of concept. His blog didn't mention this, but his public Patreon post does. This game, it's just going to be rushed. It's going to run like shit, and it's going to perform worse than a GT 710 trying to run Cyberpunk. It's gonna be fucking bad. He yet again lies to his audience by telling them that the game is done. But it turns out that it's not the real game. But in fact, a game mode that has nothing to do with the actual fucking game or any of the fucking characters. The funny thing about this is that there's going to be idiots that will try to defend this. It's just unbelievable, man. Also, if you want to see the rivals and their silhouettes, you're going to have to pay for his Patreon in order to see them. Not just $1 or just $5 for these tiers. No. Fork over $10 to $30 if you want to see them. This is extortion. This man is just siphoning money from his fucking diehard fans like an Axial proboscis. Yandere Simulator will never be done. Alex will keep making excuses and ways to shake down money from his fans in order to keep the illusion up that he's still working on this fucking game. But that's it for part 1. A very extensive look at his blog. I know I didn't go all the way back to 2014, but I'd be here forever if I did that, and I don't want to spend more time editing. Hi, future me. How you doing? This has been a very extensive look at his blog and at all the lying this man has done in past years, or fuck it, even the past year. This single part is 11 pages long, 3,084 words deep, and took me 6 hours over 2 days to write. I am very tired, but I will be back for part 2, where I actually critique the game for being a game. Hi there. Welcome back. It's been a week since I've last recorded that part, but you didn't need to know that. Ha ha ha, funny editor joke here. For this segment of the video, I want to critically break down Yandere Simulator like it's an elemental structure. I sat down and played the game for a decent 30 to 45 minutes and went in with a very open-minded way of thinking. Essentially thinking like somebody who just picked up the game and didn't know any history with it. Didn't know anything about Yandere Simulator or Alex or the drama surrounding him. And even then, I've encountered some problems. And not the easy to point out problems like the frame rate dying on you like a fucking raccoon as soon as you enter the fucking school or when you're around a sakura tree, but more intricate problems. Here we go. Holy fuck. Alright, give me a second. Give me... Oh. Where's my FPS counter? How do I put the FPS counter? Because I forgot to put that on. Let's see. Dude. The frame rate. Holy fuck. Why is it 56? What? Bro, I can play Apex Legends at almost 120 frames. Don't fucking come to me with this fucking 40 FPS bullshit. Yandere Simulator had one problem immediately upon booting the game that I noticed. The game's too fucking loud. The sister rival character is not 18, but, you know, hey man, he's gotta jerk off to something somehow.
Yandere Simulator is supported by the following sponsors.
Stop it. Jesus, fuck, that was loud. This is very loud. I need to turn down the volume. Wow. Alright, I don't know if you guys can hear this, but oh my god, is there really... Wait. Wait, no, wait. Where's the audio option? Wait, no, seriously, where's the audio option? What the fuck, bro? There's no audio option. I actually have to go and fucking turn down my fucking volume. And it's even still loud. At 50 fucking %, this shit is still loud. Jesus fuck. So far, I like the introduction. I like it. And I tried, for the life of me, to try and fix this and try to find a sound option so I could turn down the sound in the game. And guess what? I didn't find anything. This is a huge development and game issue because it honestly baffles me that sound option is still not in the game. Imagine playing the Switch and it had no volume button, so you're permanently stuck playing every game at 100 fucking volume. That was already one major flaw of the game before I even started. The lack of options in this game. I understand Yandere Simulator is a demo. It doesn't excuse it from having a no sound option when it has everything else in the game. And if you advertise your game as complete with all 10 rivals in it, you're kind of setting yourself up for people to make videos on your dog water of a fucking game. But after that whole debacle of me trying to figure out how to hear again because my eardrums were permanently damaged, I essentially sat down and played the game. The game felt very stiff in the animation, albeit most of them are from the assets store. Looked fine, but that's cause they're just generic and they had nothing unique to them. It just looked generic, which is a word that I can use to describe Yandere Simulator to its core. Another massive flaw was the fact that there is no objectives in this game. Like, yeah, obviously you go to school, you kill the rivals, but it doesn't really give you a clear indication of what you have to do first, or where you have to go first. It doesn't tell you who's who, or what's what, or where to go. Yeah, we all know that killing your rival is obvious because of all of Alex's videos, but for somebody who doesn't follow Alex, or doesn't know about the drama, or doesn't watch any of his videos, and just heard about Yandere Simulator on a fucking whim, and downloaded it on a fucking whim, they don't know how to play the game. I know that's a case study that, you know, is almost pretty much impossible, but I mean, there is a possibility that it can happen. For somebody who doesn't know anything about Alex, this is where it gets complicated. You have no clear indication of where to go or what you have to do. Once you start up the game, you're thrusted into it. No tutorial, no demo, nothing. No tutorials on how to move or how to use items. In fact, there's no tutorial at all. This is as basic as demos go, and I was expecting a sort of tutorial to tell you how to use items, or how to talk to people, what certain options do. But no, there's literally nothing. This was another flaw within the game's structure. It had no clear objectives. It had no objectives, it had no direction, you didn't know what to do. It had no way of telling the player who or what they were supposed to kill, or who or what these characters are. You have to know who these characters are with prior knowledge. Of course, there was a generic opening cutscene, but this is as drab and as generic as they come. Why are we killing Osana? Oh, just because she's talking to her love interest. It's time to fucking murder her, bitch! This is terrible game design. Now, you may argue that the older games used to do this. For example, the first Zelda barely held your hand in terms of just where to go, what to do, the objectives. It barely did any of those. But that was because it's a product of its time. As technology and as game development has come from the past onward, the game design started to feel a lot more better in terms of just getting out the basics out of the way. And back then, gaming was ruthless. Back then, you had to pay 25 cents per game. Remember that? They were also limited with the technology that they had back in the day. But there is a huge difference between Yandere Simulator and the first Zelda. One came out 35 years ago and came out on a console that can barely handle pixels, and one essentially blows up your PC as soon as you're next to a sakura tree. Oh my god. Case in point, Yandere Simulator is a game made in the modern era, where game development is evolving to the point where you can have a game that teaches the player the basic mechanics of their games even in the demo. Again, there is no excuse for how generic and bland and just generic Yandere Simulator looks and feels. Yandere Simulator has been compared to the Hitman series and Persona 5 by its creators. And I can kind of see where he comes with this. I can kind of see from his perspective, but honestly, it's a very far throw to just compare this to something like Hitman and Persona. Both of these games have stealth elements built into them. They're not necessary, but if you want to make the game easier on yourself, you're going to have to stealth around a lot. Nothing is stopping you from going into a dungeon in Persona 5 and killing everything that moves, or just encountering and going up to someone and fucking pressing X. Same goes to Hitman. Nothing's stopping you from going in and fucking murking bitches. But for Yandere Simulator, stealth is mandatory. You want to kill the first rival? You're gonna have to make sure you're stealthy and no one saw you take the knife off of the table, and also you'll have to distract your best friend in order to kill the rival itself. There is a lot of unnecessary things that you have to do before killing the rival, which is insane to me, because it makes the game more tedious and it stretches it out and makes it complete bloatware. And honestly, if something becomes more tedious and more grindy, it takes away the fun. Point to Anthem. In all of these scenarios, stealth plays a major role, for better or for worse. But that's not to say that you should equip the main character with a Glock and have them go pumped up kicks in the fucking high school hallways. No, what I'm trying to say is that you should make the game a little bit more fun for the player. Make it less tedious and make the player want to play your game more. Find other ways that you can dispatch your rival without killing them. Find more fun and interesting ways. I do know that there is a way for you to not kill Osana and just sit down and talk to her. And when I saw that cutscene, bro, my fucking mind was blown, because I was like, this actually feels like a game. And then immediately that cutscene ended and I was back into playing the game, and I just it sucked. The reason why people played the fuck out of the first Last of Us game was because of the characters, the plot, the gameplay. It all felt so fucking good! But with Yandere Simulator, all the characters and all the teachers and students and everything just feels so generic. It's like drinking knockoff soda. I know you want the real soda, but here you go. Like, all the characters, they might as well just be cardboard cutouts. They have no personality, no lore behind them. Go ahead and fuck kill them all. I know programming is difficult, but being a stubborn piece of shit who doesn't want to listen is even more difficult. From a gameplay perspective, this game feels extremely stiff. Now, I'm not expecting some Apex Legends type of movement, but I am expecting for the character to not feel like I'm fucking walking on fucking molasses. I expect the walking to be about as good as Persona 5, let's just say that. I played this game on a mouse and keyboard, but during a certain part of the cutscene, of the opening cutscene, it thought I was using my controller, which was on the side, and unexpectedly scared the living mango juice out of me.
And the rest of my life with... But... someone is trying to take him from me.
Okay, so I understand that she's supposed to be a Yandere, right? But why?
She wants him, but not in the same way that I want him.
What the fuck?
She could never appreciate him the way I...
Alright, so before the game continues on, I had my controller plugged in just onto the side. I was using mouse and keyboard, and it just started vibrating all of a sudden. Like I said, I played this game for 30 minutes, and then I stopped. Of those 30 minutes, I didn't want to play the game anymore. It didn't make me want to clamor to play more. It did the opposite effect, actually. It had a similar effect to me when Cyberpunk 2077 came out. I was so excited to play the game. I sat down and I bought Cyberpunk day one. I played it. Wasn't what I expected to be. I mean, obviously, half of the internet didn't expect it to be that as well. I played 30 minutes of Cyberpunk 2077 when it came out, and it wasn't what I expected, and I dropped it. I did, however, beat it a few months later, but it was a complete slog to go through, and the endings were just unsatisfying. I feel like that is what's going to happen with Yandere Simulator. I mean, it already is happening, but I just want to be a little bit optimistic. Gameplay aside, how is the performance for Yandere Simulator? Not good. On average with this game, I managed to get 37 frames per second. For context, a game like Apex Legends, I got 97 to 120 frames per second. Now, obviously I was playing this on competitive settings, so I mean, a little bit of leeway. With Yandere Simulator, I noticed that one specific spot in the game, or at school, would make my frame rate drop so fucking fast, and that was around the Sakura tree. I can run a game like Apex Legends at 120, that's 30 frames. Oh my god.
What you like? What made you fall?
No students in sight, nothing. As soon as I go next to a tree, 30 FPS. Even worse is there's a student here. How do I go into the debug menu? It, no joke, made my computer sound like it was a withering goat screaming for the death, for the kiss of a bullet. Here are my specs for my PC. Now, of course, they're nothing extremely major, but they can handle most games at 60 FPS on high settings. It should be able to play Yandere Simulator on 60 FPS on average. That didn't happen. Apparently, you need something even stronger to get 60 FPS on average while playing this fucking dog water backwash of a game. It just blows my fucking mind like Kurt Cobain. I noticed this when all of my settings were on by default, so I lowered them to the lowest setting possible, and the game ran fucking smoothly. Why the fuck did the bloom effect have to tank my FPS? I am not joking. That was one effect I turned down. I immediately noticed a fucking difference. This is so bad. I am not lying. Post-processing, everything just... Oh my god. Was it the bloom? Was the bloom the thing that fucked me over? Dude, this game runs so much better now. Holy fuck. I have no idea why the fuck the bloom effect made my PC sound like it was a fucking Mayan death whistle. Anytime I am near more than a few students, my frame rate drops fucking fast. This is because, from my understanding, each student is running their own separate code, which tanks the game to an absurd amount. From my understanding, every student is running their own line of code at the same time, which makes the game need to process the coding even more, which means the game becomes a complete mess. There have been a ton of videos explaining why Alex's code fucking sucks, and I recommend go watching them because they're really fun and interesting to see just the inner machinations of Alex's mind when he was writing this code. They'll be down in the description down below if you want more insight. You can go watch those. I'm not a fucking programmer. I'm not a fucking code guy. I'm a med student. What the fuck do I know? But back to the game. From the little I've played of this game, it feels very uninteresting. Yandere Simulator have a few things going for it that I actually like. For example, the concept of the game. This concept is S-tier indie game concept. The idea that you're a high schooler plotting a murder on different rivals is very fucking interesting. It's too bad it was wasted on something like Yandere Simulator, where by playing the game, I could feel all the cumin passion being thrown into a fucking bin. I simply adore the concept for the game. It's just a shame that it was wasted on this game. It's literally the sort of backwash that young teenagers and young adults will eat up. If this game was handled well and not by some self-absorbed coom-powered homo sapien known as Alex Mahan, this game would have been up there with the greats, with the likes of Shovel Knight or fucking FNAF. Which puts a frown on my face, but also a smile because I kind of enjoy the way this train wreck is going. Writing the things that are good in Yandere Simulator that I like is harder than running a marathon on hard steroids. Which says a lot about the drama and the mishaps surrounding the game. It's essentially its identity now. I'm not gonna lie, it's incredibly hard to think of anything positive to say about this game aside from the concept. I'm not gonna fucking lie. Because the demo and the game itself is very bare bones. It has nothing to offer. There isn't much that you can say in general. The cons outweigh the pro by a country mile. Speaking of cons, Yandere Simulator as a game has Audio issues, barely any recognizable audio, barely any memorable music, barely any recognizable students, generic student design, simple school design, too simple geometry, bare bones mechanics, a laughable story, and lack of story for that matter, frame rate issues, poor animation, bland environments, half-baked teachers, a UI that will make a fucking programming student want to rip their fucking hair out, and gameplay stiffer than Call Me Carson at a fucking playground. Am I forgetting anything? Oh yeah, the fucking panty shot mechanic that's in the game. I can't fucking believe that is one way for you to get information on how to kill your rival. You have to take fucking panty shots of students, of high schoolers. God damn it. This is still stupid, and I cannot believe it's not been taken out and replaced with something a lot better. Or replaced with a fucking gossip mechanic, where fucking InfoChan, where the main character goes around school, gathers gossip, and gives it to InfoChan. She can use that gossip for fucking blackmail, I don't fucking know. And then just gives you info points. That would have been so much better than fucking panty shots. It would have been so much better than taking panty shots in broad fucking daylight, with no repercussions, except for your reputation bar, which does fuck all. That's it. I actually made it to the end of the video. Revisiting Yandere Simulator and Alex made me realize something. I'm still surprised that the game and him are still in development. It's been 7 years and the game will probably take 7 more years to develop. The game is not worth any amount of money. And it's just not worth it. This is literally the one time I would recommend torrenting a game. Put on your pirate caps, it seems like we're going to torrent this game. But yeah, that's it for me. This video is super fucking long, and I cannot believe I have wasted so much time doing research on this video. Obviously, I have other videos out in the pipeworks, but this is the longest video I've made on Yandere Simulator. I cannot believe it. I'm kind of proud of myself and disappointed at the same time. For this video, I learned a bunch of new programs, and I learned how to write a script way more effectively. And I'm very proud of myself. I'm very proud of everybody who has actually just believed in me. I'm very proud of myself. Thank you for watching this video. Yeah, you. I fucking love you. I can't kiss you or I can't give you a high five because of COVID, but brofist, I guess. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and thank you for watching the development of this video on Yandere Simulator. See you all next time.